Today is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. This is Quick Start from CBN News. I'm Dan Andros. An area of the world the media is ignoring the desperate plight of Christians. We'll have that top story and more on today's podcast, where we bring you news from a Christian perspective. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating. You can email us your thoughts as well. quickstartpodcast@cbn.org. Glad you're here with us as we're getting through the news of the day each and every weekday here bright and early. A lot to get to on the podcast today, as always. On the focus story, they didn't just strike. San Francisco's teachers union told parents not to homeschool because it might weaken their leverage. When kids' education becomes a bargaining chip, who really holds the power? Gary Lane's got more on that coming up here in a minute on the focus story. Also, on the main thing, the systematic Christian persecution being ignored by the world. We have an interview with Dr. Sasa coming up here. He has been on the front lines of what's going on in Burma, and it is shocking stuff. And we're going to get to all of that and more coming up here in just a moment. But first, we are going to go to the news in 90 seconds. And a massive avalanche has swallowed up a group of backcountry skiers in California's Sierra Nevada. And as of last night, 10 people still missing. The slide hit Tuesday near Castle Peak in the Sierra Nevada as a group of 16 skiers, which was 4 guides and 12 clients, were wrapping up a 3-day backcountry trip. 6 people survived and were waiting to be rescued at the scene, but as I said, as of overnight, 10 remained unaccounted for. Authorities say 2 to 3 feet of fresh snow fell in just the past 36 hours, with more coming down at up to 4 inches per hour. Officials are urging people to avoid all backcountry avalanche terrain, as large avalanches could continue at least through this morning. And economic reality is crashing into the socialist dream. In New York City, Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who campaigned on taxing the rich and taxing corporations, now says the city's staring at a $5.4 billion budget deficit. His preferred fix to get Governor Hochul and Albany to approve higher taxes on the wealthy. Those are just some of today's top headlines. You can check out more stories over at cbnnews.com. And I want to get right to the focus story now. In the first major teachers' strike in San Francisco in nearly 50 years, the UESF made a stunning move, emailing parents and urging them not to provide independent at-home learning during the walkout. The concern, if students kept progressing, it could undercut the strike's impact. Erica Donalds, chair of Education Opportunity at the America First Policy Institute, says unions fear what happens when parents realize they don't actually need the system. Gary's interview with Erica is today's focus.
Erica, it's good to talk with you again. So the teachers union, the United Educators of San Francisco, contend that this was all about the school district sending out at-home instruction packets to parents, a tactic they said would maintain attendance-based funding for the government. So what do you believe this was all about?
Well, certainly for the teachers unions, they don't want any benefit to come to families, and they don't want the students to be learning because that takes away their power of this strike. You know, a monopoly is only existing because parents do not have other options. If the money followed the child today, the strikes would be ended tomorrow. Unfortunately, parents don't have any other options, and teachers unions are holding children's learning hostage, even as our kids are not proficient in math and reading. They're already behind, and this is not serving kids, it's only serving the adults.
Well, they're behind, and the teacher base pay in San Francisco is $103,000 a year. That may seem like a lot to most Americans. However, I will point out the cost of living in San Francisco is about 65 to 70% higher than the national average. So we can understand a bit the UESF's demand for a 9% salary increase. However, a portion of their union dues goes to state and national union affiliates that end up funding progressive activist organizations like the Our Future and 1630 funds. What are your thoughts on teacher union political activism on issues unrelated to education?
Well, that's exactly right. The teachers' unions are acting as far left radical advocacy organizations, especially with the money that they're doling out to these policy shops and to advocacy for these radical ideas that parents do not agree with. However, right, what they're not doing is putting more money into developing our teachers to ensure that they're prepared to teach reading and math in our classrooms and increase the proficiency of our students. There's definitely a mismatch there of what parents and stakeholders, taxpayers are looking for and what teachers unions are investing their time and resources in.
And those scores are way down, are they not? I don't know about San Francisco, but I know nationwide they're down.
Listen, across the board, not only are scores down, but we're hearing also from colleges and universities that students are very unprepared. One university in California went from 1 in 200 students needing remediation back in 2020 to 1 in 8 students needing remediation in math that are incoming. It is an epidemic across our country, what's happening in education. All the more reasons we need to break the strength of this monopoly, bring competition across the board in education, and a free market that gives parents the options outside of the monopolistic system.
Well, the federal government's trying to do that, and I know Democratic governors in Wisconsin, New Mexico, Hawaii, Oregon, they're among those opting out of the new federal tax credit scholarship program for charter schools, homeschooling, and private education. So tell us more about the new program and why governors in blue states like North Carolina and Colorado are opting in.
Listen, Trump is the school choice president. He signed in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act the first ever federal tax credit scholarship program. Now, this is private money. Donors can give a dollar for dollar tax credit funds, $1,700 to scholarship funding organizations. Those scholarship funding organizations, with the permission of their states, can turn around and use those funds for scholarships, homeschool expenses, online courses, curriculum, tutoring, special needs services. We need families to pressure their own governors to opt into this program. I don't care if you're a blue or a red state. This money is for students and families to give them what they need, and it doesn't take anything away from the budgets of the states. Every single governor should be taking advantage of these additional funds.
Well, I'm sure the teachers' unions are pressuring those governors not to opt in, and the number of homeschooled children has nearly doubled in the past 6 years to at least 4 million nationwide. Overall, public schools lost as many as 3 million students from the fall of 2019 to the fall of 2025. So do you expect this shift to continue, and why?
You're absolutely right. Homeschooling is the fastest growing sector of education. Not only that, though, double the number of parents would be homeschooling if they had that option, if it was financially feasible, if they had the time or could stay home. And so we see parents really wanting to hold on to more control over their children's education. And that's why education scholarship accounts and now this federal tax credit scholarship program are so popular among both Republicans, Democrats, and independents, because parents want to be in the driver's seat. They understand one size does not fit all. They want to customize their students' education and make sure they're set up for success and achieving their own American dream.
Education and parental rights was the big issue that contributed to the election of Glenn Youngkin here in Virginia as governor in 2021. But the importance of that issue seemed to wane in the election last November, especially here in Virginia, also in New Jersey. So what happened there? To what extent do you think parental rights will be resurrected as an issue of concern in the congressional elections later this year?
I definitely see families voting with their feet when it comes to school choice. You see this mass influx into Florida, for example, and I hear from a lot of families saying they want to move to a state where they have education choice. Unfortunately, we didn't see it really showcased in those elections, but it's also up to us to make sure parents know what the differences of opinion are in Republicans and Democrats when it comes to school choice. This is a great opportunity with the federal tax credit scholarship to make that an issue in elections when governors do not opt in, and that families are losing out on the opportunity for these funds in their states.
Appreciate that, Gary, very much. I mean, very interesting stuff here, as the unions normally are a little more coy about this sort of thing when it comes to the impact of homeschooling. I think when you see the numbers of homeschooling, how many people have done it and how exponentially it's grown, especially since COVID hit, The numbers are staggering, and they've never really admitted too often out loud that homeschooling is indeed a threat to the bottom line and the foothold that teachers unions have in many areas of the country in regards to schools. And that's exactly what happened in this case here. So appreciate you bringing that to the podcast today, Gary. And we're going to go to the main thing now. And since 2021, there was a coup in Myanmar, which is also known as Burma. And it's descended into chaos since then. The military junta has targeted churches, arrested pastors, and displaced millions. Christians and ethnic minorities often bearing the brunt. Entire communities have been impacted by this, and aid is blocked. But yet, in the midst of all this, faith is not extinguished. Dr. Sasa joined me to explain the situation on the ground and how Christians can be praying, what needs to be done here for the situation in Burma. That's today's main thing. All right, so let's talk about this for people who haven't maybe followed Myanmar closely. What has life looked like for ordinary people there? What are they facing since this coup back in 2021?
Every night, every day, from the sunrise to the sunset, the people of Burma have been living under the reign of terror. It's really a textbook of pure evil that has been instigated by the military generals in Burma. Now they have destroyed the last 4 years. Already, like we are talking about 345 churches being destroyed or damaged. And they have forced about 5 million people into homelessness. And they are living in the jungles, or they are moving from place to place, and they bomb our churches, they bomb our schools and villages. And then very simple as like there's no food on the table for many children. And about 6 million children of Burma are now facing a lost generations, and 21 million people of Burma are now great in needs of humanitarian assistance. So all these are made by these military generals who have been not just using religion as a weapon, but using all the churches, all the mosques, or even Buddhist monastery, targeting as the place to instigate more pain and suffering. And the last 4 years has been 5 years of pain and suffering, 5 years of death and destruction, particularly the church. They have been targeting us. Like I belong to Christian community in Burma. If you are Christians and ethnic, you have no future. And they have systematic persecution against us. It's not just happened the last 5 years, it has been there for the last 60 years of persecution against us because of our faith.
And why is the government, what is their motive to try to have this sustained persecution going on that you mentioned here? And it is shocking. I mean, they do bomb villages. I mean, it's crazy the stuff that this military does. What is their motivation to do this?
We are at crossroad between China and India, and we are politically a very crucial country for Indo-Pacific, and half of the world populations are my neighbor, and that we are very rich in natural resources like rare earth and other minerals, which is a very great access for the whole world, and the whole world needs Burma, and then they are every day try to get all those natural resources to fuel their weapons to bomb the church. So all those natural resources are in also Christian and minority states. And so because they want to get all those natural resources as well, and they are trying to really rule over us as a way of making them surrender. They want us to surrender to them, right? It's just kind of, they oppress us so that we will give up. But my people, our faiths tell us that we cannot give up. We cannot surrender to this evil, pure evil. And that's where our brothers and sisters in Burma are also now standing up. We call it something Pray, Act, Burma. There will be like a fasting and praying from thousands of our brothers and sisters in Burma to really, defeat this evil. It's just kind of, making this evil prosper in Indo-Pacific is not going to be good for anyone. So we are targeted because of our faith. We are targeted because we stand up for freedom. But that is also, we are aware that we are holding front lines of hope and faith and freedom in Indo-Pacific. We are not just there for ourselves. We are very aware that Burma has a responsibility for the half of the world population when it comes to faith and freedom. That is exactly why we are being also targeted.
So, Dr. Sasa, what do you think or hope that the international community, United States, perhaps the leaders here, what can they do to help the situation there? What do you guys hope happens?
I think defending faith and freedom is the crucial for not only just Burma, but also, as I say, Burma neighbor with half of the world population. So defending faith and freedom in Burma is a better world for everybody. So I believe that United States leaders and then the leaders around the world will hear that that is where a better world will be possible when we defend that faith and freedom in Burma. So in the US particularly, there is a Burma Act appropriated by the Burma Act under US Congress, and there has been appropriation of Burma under the Burma Act, and we believe that implementation of Burma Act of United States of America is going to help us to defend the faith and freedom in Indo-Pacific. So I think full implementation of the Burma Act is so crucial for us in defending that faith and freedom, not only in Burma, but across Indo-Pacific. And then secondly, we need to put the pressure on these military generals by cutting off their weapons going to them. The more weapon they get, the more they kill, the more they destroy church. So we have to cut off any international weapons or the use going to Burma army generals. That's one. And the second cut that we are advocating to international community and the United States as well is cut off finance. There cannot be finance going to Burma army. The more they get the finance, the more they purchase the weapon from Russia and China. And the more they kill Christians, brothers and sisters, or minorities or village, they bomb more churches and more villages, more schools, more hospitals we bomb. And the third one is legitimacy. We cannot recognize Burma Army General as the government of Burma. They do not represent the people of Burma. We, the people, represent the people of Burma, not these criminal gangs group. So these three cuts that we are asking the international community and United States to do is cut off weapons to them, cut off money to them, and cut off legitimacy to them. So if the three cuts is implemented on them, they will have to try day by day, and finally they will give up their evil act of crime against humanity, and crime against religious freedom, and the crime against all the Christians in Burma or ethnic minorities in Burma. So I think that is the way forward that we really need United States leaders to please help us to cut off the three things: cut off money, cut off weapons, cut off legitimacy to the military generals, and also full implementation of Burma Act in Burma so that we can really defend faith and freedom, particularly religious freedom, religious liberty, not only in Burma, but also across Indo-Pacific. As Burma neighbor with China and India, it's crucial that we hold that front lines of faith and freedom in Burma and Indo-Pacific.
All right, really appreciate it, Dr. Sasa, dropping by to explain what's going on there. And if you want to help, CSI, as I mentioned, is certainly in the area and helping the Christians in Burma. And if you want to walk alongside efforts like that one, go to csi-usa.org. Any amount helps. csi-usa.org. All right. We have time on the podcast today for one last thing, and we are going to take a look at 2 Timothy 3:12. Indeed, all who desire to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. You can expect it, everyone, when we try to walk in the light of Christ and we try to follow Christ and be obedient to him. There will be a persecution of some level, some way, shape, or form. We will be persecuted. You can bank on it. It's in Scripture. It's God's word. So we need to brace for that and to walk in the word of Christ as we go through it. God bless. We will see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day.